In this video, we're checking out version 2 of IK Multimedia's Sunset Sound Reverb. Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlight Studio, and in this video, we're checking out version 2 of IK Multimedia's very popular Sunset Sound Reverb. Now, this adds a ton of new features and a ton of additional functionality to their already popular Sunset Sound Reverb, and we're going to put it to use on a production that we've got going on right now here in the studio, and it's going to come in really handy if you record in a small, tight room like these, and then you want to build the environment later. Being born and raised in the Los Angeles area as a young audio intern just starting out my engineering career, I had the incredible good fortune of being able to record and work in some of the most famous LA studios, and some of these studios had world-class drum rooms, which made for some spectacular drum recordings.
But most of us don't have access to those multi-million-dollar drum recording rooms. And that's our case here at Featherlight as well. We have a very controlled and compact studio space. And while it's wonderful to record in and has some great vibe and great ambience, we're going to be recording the drums inside of our isolation booth. And while our isolation booth thankfully has very high ceilings, which gives us a great developed drum sound, it's still fairly small and compact, which means we need to build that multi-million-dollar drum sound after the fact in software. So we have a couple of surfaces we can change here in our isolation booth, but as you can see, it's still pretty compact, and we need to turn that into a huge controllable drum space, and that's what IK Multimedia's version 2 of Sunset Sound is going to allow us to do.
We have clocked a lot of miles on the original Sunset Sound Reverb. It's been on almost every project over the last several years. Love the sound of the studios and the chambers and the plates and everything, but we always wished we had a bit more control over the overall interface. And there were some things we just couldn't do without using several instances of the plugin itself. One of the biggest changes from the original version of the Sunset Sound Studio Reverb is the ability to have two completely independent reverbs working on the signal path and sound source at the same time. This gives us a huge amount of creative potential, but especially where drums are concerned. For example, in this particular one, we're starting off with a basic drum sound straight out of the booth. Sounds like this. And we're going to end up with this. And this just adds so much more flexibility and creativity to this plugin. Having two completely different reverb paths acting together is really what we were doing with the previous reverb, but it took us several different instances of it. But now we can do all of that right from the interface. So for example, on A, let's go ahead and mute B's reverb, the B engine reverb, which is a plate, and we'll just go to A. And this is one of the live rooms. This is Studio One in the live room. And let's just hear what that sounds like. We'll mute them both to start with. Bring it in. And you can already hear just that life that room brings into it. The ability to put drum sets in their own spaces, the ability to tailor each one of the spaces with almost surgical precision is not just an upgrade, but a real godsend for people that are working in tighter, smaller, confined spaces like this that need to have realistic drum room sound, but just don't have the space to produce it. We can also change the directionality of the reflections themselves, back and forth from omni to a directional, and then we can move that marker around and place those drums in a specific space. In the center of the room, closer to the brick side, closer to the door side, all the way to the back, all the way to the front. I'll change it to omni. Back to directional. This is one of the things I love most about this particular design. This version allows you to put your drums in a space, in a real space. and in a directional space. So the Omni allows you basically to have everything hit the mics at the same time, but putting it in a real space and keeping it in a directional position, like this little marker shows, when you only see half of that, the reverb propagation reflects its directional position, and when you see a full circle, it's omnidirectional. The directional mode is great for stuff like guitar cabs and for vocalists and things that need a real 3D space. Then when you have things like piano and drum sets and ensembles, you can use the omnidirectional reverb propagation for that big uniform sound. One of the things I love most about Sunset Sound was its ability to change the studio's reflectivity. They had these cool walls, these sliding panels, where you could slide them open and expose all of the bricks to have a really reflective room, or you could like leave them halfway closed and have like part absorbent and part brick wall. And because we can change the dampening, we can change the character of that reverb almost immediately simply by changing what the wall surfaces are. Now, this is one of the things I loved most about Sunset Sound was the ability to change the reflection of the studio space itself. You could go back and forth between all brick, half wood. These were sliders that slide back and forth, and choosing those could give you a gigantic range of different reverb types and feels. Much tighter control. Open it wide up. So that's what we're using for A. Let's switch over to B. We'll mute A for a minute and switch over to B and just listen. This particular one, we're using a plate sound. Let's bring it in. Take it out. Bring it in. And as you can hear, I mean, these EMT style plates were just beautiful and they were a blast to play with. They sounded like $1,000,000. And having the ability to have this kind of control over them as a second reverb in line. There are several different types of plates to play with here, along with their associated reverb controls. In addition, we have an entire filter section for each one of the reverb engines. This really adds a ton of flexibility to shaping the sound, along with high pass and low pass filter control. Dry, tight, focused. Spacious, wide open. And that's just the plate reverbs. We still have all the spring reverbs. We have all the chambers. We have all of the isolation boosts to play with and everything. So far too much to go into for just one video. And in addition to all of the panning style options that we have for each one of the reverb engines, we also have control over the signal path itself. We can choose from a fully analog API style signal path or a fully analog Class A discrete Neve style signal path for each one of the preamps, giving you complete creative control over the analog vibe and warmth of each one of the reverb engines. And keep in mind, we're still just talking about recording drums. We'll get into more kinds of recording in future videos, but the ability to build acoustic and realistic spaces for things like vocals and background vocals, acoustic instruments, not to mention all the special effects capabilities and possibilities with this plugin are really off the charts and far too vast for us to cover in one video here. All right, so no product is perfect, no plugin is perfect. Here's my wish list of things that I would change or add to if they ever make a version 3. And the first one is the filter section. So while the filter section is a great addition, it'd be great to maybe have a parametric in there. And also, when you're really, really busy and deep into a session, it is super easy to forget which engine you're actually working on in the filter section. I know they have the little lamps above them that go A and B, but they're way up at the right upper part of the interface. When you're really, really busy, it can be sometimes a little difficult. It might be kind of nice to have like an LED or something over each one of the engines that lights up. It at least, confirms which one of the sections, which one of the reverbs you're actually working on. The other thing is I'd like to see more niche spaces actually sampled as an environment. The bathroom at Sunset Sound was always awesome, sounded fantastic. This really incredible tight reflective space. We always go in there and did our vocal rehearsals after shooting hoops in the courtyard. And the other thing is that it's a bit on the spendy side. So, that's going to be your own judgment, but I think IK Multimedia has done a fantastic job at updating and adding some very, very badly needed improvements to an already popular plugin. And like I said, we've had a lot of use with the previous version. We clocked a lot of miles on it and it sounds great. And it's so nice to have these additional features and functions in this new version 2. Hey, if this was helpful in any way, shape, or form, please hit the subscription and notification bells. It does keep a young channel like this growing and going, and it helps us make more videos like this for you guys. Stay safe and be creative. Add something creative to the world because it could really, really use it. Take care. We'll catch you guys in the next video.